is that the harder or further down you fall, I was painting today, by the way, but the harder and further down you fall, the higher and higher you get to climb up. Because when we can evolve enough, we get to a point where we realize that our worst mistake ever, or one of our worst situations, actually was one of the best things that could have or has ever or will ever happen to us, because without whatever you were fighting against to become who you wanted to be, that desire, that ultimate underlining fact that you're not going to give up, it likely came from some kind of trauma. And knowing that you can and will persevere, and sometimes when you fall, the only thing you can do is get back up, because you fell so low. They ain't falling no more. You can't fall lower than where you are. That's sometimes what happens. But that gives you the ability to become the strongest, best version of yourself, so that you can ensure that that situation never happens again. And moreover, you can prosper anyway. You are bigger than any situation that ever presents itself in front of you. And if anyone would have you live in that past or try to remind you of your shortcomings that used to be blah, 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 you don't have to engage with them. You don't have to go back and forth with people and prove yourself to anyone. What you get to do, though, is prove yourself to yourself and prove yourself right. And if you want to show up and stun on them, whatever, but likely by the time you get to a certain level, you won't even care about those situations and those people. You might, but you might be so busy living your life, enjoying your life, doing things that you don't even realize, oh my gosh, look at what's going on. And then suddenly, Seymour, you look and you think, wow, like, stuff is happening. Stuff is moving. Like, there are miracles happening every day in every way. And every single day in every way, you get better, better, and better. And you feel better, better, and better. And you just take it one step at a time. It starts by being graceful. All right? And that means mostly starting, and this is what I had to do, being graceful to yourself. And then once you discover the ability to be graceful to yourself, you will in turn be graceful to everyone around you. And that goes for anything. Once you start to set a precedent and a standard within yourself, everyone else around you has to meet that. And even if they are mad at themselves, or they're causing stress and trying to get to you, you can decide that, you know what, I'm not doing this with you. You don't have to tell them that. You let that person hash out whatever visceral they need and let them breathe. A great book would be to read it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, something like that. It's by Dale Carnegie. You should read that book because it highlights practical applications of this ideology that I'm saying. But take it day by day. And remember, little by little, a little becomes a lot. A forest was started by a single seed. Okay? And take that, obviously, you're like, oh my gosh, there are so many different types of plants in a forest. Well, no, Sherlock. But the point is that a single acorn can produce 1,000,000 trees. That's what they say. See it as it is, see it as you want it to be, even if it's not there yet. It at first I thought I was not understanding, but it clicked. It's not about seeing it in the physical. Everything in the physical might be what it is, but it's about having the foresight and being enough of a visionary to see what is possible. Then suddenly it doesn't become, oh, this is just an acorn. This acorn is a forest of trees with enough time and proper growth, the likely chances for that acorn that will end up growing into a tree and then having acorns, and then eventually that from that one acorn comes a forest of trees. And notice it's consistency, continuing to do the right thing long enough produces results. So continuing to water the acorn seed and continuing to leave it in nourishing dirt, continuing to expose it to sunlight, continuing to keep the bugs out of it and things away from it, continuing to do the necessary steps will ensure that that acorn becomes a tree. You don't have to watch it to know that it's going to grow. You just experience it grow. So that's what I think it means. So when they say seeing is believing, and they're always in like manifestation, they'll tell you like you gotta look at it and somehow you have to know that it's $1 million and feel it and just know it. Okay, but you are feeling and knowing the vision of what could be from that thing. And as long as you do the right steps and you consistently do the right steps, you will have that forest. You don't have to know how. The elements around you will start to just put things in. You'll get ideas and be like, oh yeah, let me do that. And you just got to keep following through. You also got to start reading more. Read a chapter a day when you wake up and before you go to bed. At least read for 5 minutes. Both times. But I say try to do a chapter a day. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's the book. Get that and then read a chapter. They're short chapters. Read one when you wake up and then read one right before you go to sleep. Do what you know you're supposed to do. Small steps count too. Because little by little, a little becomes a lot. The acorn doesn't just get planted and suddenly turn into 1,000 or 1,000,000 trees. It goes through a process. And different plants take different times to grow. But if you just keep planting in your garden, you put your carrot in, you put your bamboo in, you put your potato, you put your garlic, your lettuce, whatever, you know that at different times, but as you're picking, you might have like the potato, you might have a couple potatoes long before you have oranges, but you still are eating. And with enough time, eventually you'll have a whole food forest and you'll be like, where did all this come from? Because things just get into a rhythm. And that's when Abraham Hicks says momentum. Like a lot of these things that people were saying, for a while, it just played and I didn't understand it. Like I understood it, but it wasn't clicking. I was kind of like, okay, this sounds good. This sounds good and this feels good, but it felt like I wasn't fully grasping it. But now I'm like, oh, okay. It's about being a visionary and seeing what is not as though it were. I believe Jesus said that, or someone in the Bible said that. And that's to me what it is. You're not necessarily seeing you see the lemon, but you also see the lemonade. And then you can say, well, from the lemonade, I could maybe start like a powdered lemon company because, I make really great lemonade. And then from there, you see you partnering with an organization. And then you see your lemonade in multiple places. You see the story behind it. And then suddenly that recipe that was passed down, because you also see you have an amazing story, because that recipe that was passed down from generation to generation to generation, I'm talking to somebody specific right now. I feel it. So yes, if you're like, dang, she's talking about me. Yeah, I'm talking about you. That recipe that was passed down that tastes so good. So good. What can you do with that? So you have a story as well. Like it's about the story. It's about the authenticity. People want authenticity. They want that authentic, that real. And you can just feel it. It's past just being away. You can feel it and you have courage. And then little by little, you start to become more confident. You start to become more aware. You start to become more calm, more graceful, not even forgiving, because you don't even get to the place of feeling offended that you have to forgive someone. You just say, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you do. And you know from just observing what happens when people try to come up against you. The universe takes care of it. You don't have to lift a finger. You might get like, and sometimes I'm still evolving past this. But so it's shorter and shorter and shorter. But sometimes I do feel like, what did you just say to me? But whatever. Because I also know that the way people react to you is that's how they react to themselves. And they feel if someone is always coming at you, they feel like they don't have power in some other situation. And they just need to feel like they can assert their authority onto someone else. So you can either choose to play that to your benefit, or you can go back and forth and argue with them. You can either affirm and allow them to get their fix of whatever they need to feel important about within reason. And eventually, when you do not give a reaction, neither getting buck or just eventually people will see that and they will not do that to you. But when people can sense that they can trigger you, you become a target. So you have to become unwittable, unrelenting, unwavering, unmovable. You become so unwittable that people that do that stuff get bored. And also they will phase out of your life. The universe, God, whatever you want to call what is going on here, will turn your world upside down all around to get you back on your right path. And you can fight it all you want, but when you are preordained in some level, when it is predestined, when you just have something in you that you know that you were here to do something, you better do it. And don't make excuses, because there's always a way around it. There's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And if there's a Quizlet, there's an A. Okay? So at the end of the day, whatever you got to do to get to where you want to be in a way that you can sleep good at night, you do it. You don't, I don't know how to. Okay. We don't know how lights work, but we use them. You don't have to know how something works to use it. You don't know how your dang on phone works. That's why if it cracks or if it breaks, most of us have to go get it fixed. You don't know how your refrigerator works. That's why you call the handyman. So you don't know how your dream works, so you just don't try? Is that what you say? Is that the excuse? That's a pretty sorry excuse. And it's a good thing, because it's something that can be overcome. There's no use of sitting here. That brings us back to the beginning, being graceful. There's no reason to sit up here and be all upset and be sad and I'm so horrible because I didn't do this. You are evolving. And you might be emotionally unintelligent, but it does not mean, or emotionally immature for whatever reason, but it means that you just need to know where you are so you can get to where you want to be. You just got to be where you are, because one day you can get to where you want to be. But you can't get there if you don't move. You can't get there if you tomorrow your life away, because tomorrow is not promised. We like to believe that it is. And we can that's why it's important to be graceful, and that's why it's important to be grateful, and all of those things. It's important that you do whatever is necessary for you to live the way that you need to live, or that you want to live, and to create the reality for yourself. It's not enough to just be so kind of okay. and kind of in it. You have to be dedicated and committed to the betterment and fulfillment of yourself. You have to be dedicated. You have to be committed, and you have to be disciplined. Because when you are disciplined, you keep those promises to yourself. We've been trained to keep promises to other people. But if you are going to be extraordinary and exist as the co-creator of your reality, or a creator of your reality, however you want to shape it, if you are going to exist in that way, you have to be dedicated to keeping your word to yourself, to being grateful and graceful to yourself, to mentally stimulating yourself, to monitor what you consume yourself, to be dedicated and committed to whatever you need to do or get to do or should do or know you're supposed to do in order to get the results you want. Because no one is going to come and tell you to do it. In fact, they are going to profit and benefit off of you. But if life is a game, how could you be mad at them? If you allow yourself to be played like a pawn, how can you get mad at a player for playing? Stop acting like a victim and someone who can just be used and mismanaged all up and down and around, and get on some stuff. You are only a victim after a certain time period if you choose to be. But you can decide to be, instead of being a product of your environment, make your environment a product of you. Get up, smell the roses and the coffee, and decide what you're going to do and take steps to do it. And any excuse that you might be trying to make, well, she doesn't understand, I can't do this. Okay, if you want to defend your excuse of choosing mediocrity over what you could possibly attain, that's on you. That's on you. That's a personal thing against yourself. And if you are happy and content with doing that to you, who am I to get in the way of you and yourself? But you don't have to do that. You can choose something else. And just the mere decision of saying, you know what, I want better than this, will put you on the path to achieving. And then it's not just enough to say, I want better. Do better. When you know that you should be doing something, or you know that there's something that should be happening or whatever, do it. Instead of beating yourself up about, oh my gosh, I don't do what you want to do, and stop bitching and moaning and complaining. Because what you focus on, you get more of. So if you all day long talking about all the stuff you complain or you don't like, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have more things to talk about tomorrow. But incrementally, if you commit to change one step at a time, eventually you will have physical changes as well. But you must change the inside. You must change what frequencies you indulge in long enough for your mind to reset itself, so that you can get to the next level. Like I be saying, like, it's like watching TV. If you have an old TV, the ones with I call them the butts in the back, that have like the white grainy screen, and you don't have cable, and you looking for the cartoons, you're never going to see the cartoons unless you're going to be watching Maya and Miguel. And I'm not hating, I love me some Maya and Miguel, but if you don't even know that there's a PBS station, you might be stuck watching, I don't know, whatever else they have on there. And you hear all these people talking about whatever they're watching, and you hear stuff about YouTube, you be like, what? YouTube? My TV don't even have on demand. It's not. Or if before on demand and streaming, when you had to like click through the channels to get to the right show, if you're starting at 0 and the cartoon channel's at 100, you're going to have to do 100 clicks to get there. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It just means that that's what the current system is. So you have to be in there long enough so that you can click manually till you get to the channel that you want to get to. And then when your operational system updates, much like when you evolve and you stop being triggered by certain things. Now you got on demand, or now you got the guide. So now you can scroll through faster. Then it upgrades again. Now you got the remote you can talk into, or you might say, hey, now you say a show, it takes you to the streaming platform. You don't even have to go to the streaming platform. You just say, talk the show, and it takes you right there. Now you got the Oculus, you can just put it on your head and you're virtually in another place. And who knows what the technology will advance to. So the point is that the more you upgrade your operational system and your programming, the more you will have different features of your reality, is the point. And you'll have more say. And okay, well, I want to watch this cartoon. I want to watch this, or I want to watch this whatever you want to watch, this comedy show. I want to watch this scary movie. You will get to have more control over that. But you have to stick in there long enough to get those upgrades. The first iPod compared to where we are today, if someone saw an iPod that never seen an iPod before, they would, first of all, if you told them it was an Apple device, they'd probably laugh at you and say, there's no way. And then you'd be like, yes, totally way. This is what it was. It would be like, what? Or if they seen the Nano, can you imagine if you gave a child who was a tech head an iPod Nano? They would, first of all, they would get bullied. Depending on what school they were in, they would get bullied for it. Or they would wear it as irony, like an ironic accessory that doesn't even work, because how do you even get music on those things? Remember when you had to plug your device into the computer to add music to it, and now we just download it or stream it? Do you remember that? Because that's where it started. And that wasn't even the first model. That was the model that they figured was good for human consumption and for the consumer market. And now someone would get laughed at for that. Or MP3 players. You remember the golden days of technology? the caveman type days of technology? That occurred. That happened. It's stuff to think about. That happened. So why would you, if everything else on the planet in this realm and universe need that also includes what you want to do. So when you put it that way, it takes the personal stuff off of it. It takes the taking stuff personal off and allows you to just relax so that your system can improve. But it takes you making conscious steps to do better. And it's one step at a time. And eventually, once you do it long enough, you will be able to, let me put my Oculus on. And then long enough time, you won't even remember how to work the TV with the white noise anymore. You won't even be able to, you won't remember how to use it. You might not even remember how to turn it on because you've been using the buttons so long. That's the point. Take it day by day and be graceful with yourself, and remember not to take life so dang on serious. If you made it to this, I honestly, sincerely just want to say thank you. Oh my gosh. Like, I got like some comments, and I was just like, oh my gosh, when I clicked the comment and there was a reply. Okay. Like, I was just like, wow. I'm just so thankful that, people can resonate to the point where you're having like conversations underneath. Like, that's such a community, and I'm just thankful. So thank you so much.